Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this What's New in LoadRunner 1262 webinar. My name is Anat Robinson, and I will be hosting today's event. Joining me today as presenters are Cyrus Manouchurian, LoadRunner and Performance Center Product Manager, and Adrian David, LoadRunner R&D Manager. Cyrus will walk you through the LoadRunner 1262 highlights and new features detailed overview. Adrian will present you the CA integration and support of running GUI viewer with LG Agent running as a service. And also I will demonstrate you on True Client Coded, how you can convert functional libraries into code, script recovery mechanism for True Client, and TrueWeb integrated in Vuegen. Before we begin, I'd like to encourage you to submit questions and comments during our event. To do so, just type your question or comment in the question box below the slides and submit. We have a Q&A session at the end of the event, and we will answer as many questions as we are able to during that time. The session's recording, slide deck, and the Q&A file will be available for downloads, and we will send you the link in a few days. Now we will start with LoadRunner 1262 highlights and new features overview. Cyrus, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Anat. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As Anat beautifully described, we are going to be covering LoadRunner 1262, our latest release. We're very excited and enthusiastic about what the team was able to work on. And this is just showcasing what more we have planned for the future. Just a quick recap. 1260 and 1261 were released in August and November of last year. 1260 was our major release for 2018, and between the two, it highlighted some key functionality that we wanted to add to LoadRunner. This was anywhere from the command line interface integration, our newest protocol, TrueWeb, to the entire LoadRunner family, Docker support, and a plethora of enhancements to our protocols, including True Client, PCUIP, SAP GUI. So we were really excited about, especially what the team had done in 1260 and 1261. And this just further shows what the momentum we wanted to carry going into 1262. As you guys know, TrueWeb being a new protocol for us is something that we're really invested in, and we want to continue the energy that we had from August. And so we continued that momentum with TrueWeb and some critical integrations with TrueWeb within Vuegen as well. We did True Client enhancements, added support to some newer versions of .NET and Java. We did a really key and neat integration with CA, and we brought some highlights to some key functionality that will bring down the amount of maintenance that you have to do. So part of this presentation is going to be about protocols and the enhancements and upgrades that we did in the protocol space. And the second half is going to be around the integrations and capabilities that we added to LoadRunner as a whole. So we'll start with the protocols and then work our way into LoadRunner. So first to start off is TrueWeb. I'm hoping most people are familiar with this, but if you're not, TrueWeb was the newest protocol that we added to the LoadRunner family, which spans across LoadRunner, Performance Center, and StormRunner Load. Because it is a new protocol, it's in tech preview, so anyone that has version 1260 and above can use this to its fullest capabilities. If you're interested in using just a standalone component to TrueWeb, you have that capability as well, and all of this can be downloaded from our ADM marketplace. In 1262, we did add some key features that were important to us. First and foremost was that TrueWeb now supports the WebSocket protocol for replay. We did some key updates in Vuegen around TrueWeb as well. The first one was around recording. So TrueWeb now can be recorded in ViewGen using the TrueWeb proxy recorder, which we've had out for a while, but now it can be supported within ViewGen. Or you can take a generated HAR file and upload it into ViewGen and create a TrueWeb script out of that HAR file. And the HAR file can actually even be recorded using Fiddler. So most of you are probably very familiar with Fiddler as a tool. And we can now record a business process using Fiddler and take that HAR file and upload into ViewGen. We added some enhancements to debugging as a whole to TrueWeb within ViewGen. And last but not least, we introduced a new parameter interface in ViewGen to TrueWeb. It's a really exciting update to the parameter UI for what we've had in the past. And while it only applies to TrueWeb in 1262, you can imagine what this could do for other protocols going in the future. We did some pretty interesting technical improvements as well. The first one was being able to support the timer functionality. And we also included 2 new extractors for web request responses. That's for XPath and text check. And then we now support read and append file operations. Now for TrueClient, we continued what we always do with TrueClient and just bring the latest and greatest to TrueClient. One of the big ones was adding support to version 68 for Chromium. We did introduce this script recovery mechanism, which is really unique. What this does is it allows you to recover a script file automatically in the event that there is corruption. And we do this by periodically saving the script in the background. Now, what's great is that you can actually set that interval yourself. So not only can you enable a backup option, but you can also set the frequency of that background save as well. In 1260 and 1261, we introduced and enhanced an interactive guide for TrueClient, and now that also supports the Chromium browser. And since 1255, we've introduced this concept called convert to code or TrueClient coded, where this takes your steps from recording and actions from recording and convert them to code. So in 1262, what we did is we included the ability to convert functions and function libraries to code. So that means that not only do your steps convert to JavaScript, but also the functions and function libraries also convert to code as well. Last but not least is actually the TrueClient native mobile protocol, which now includes support for working with multiple Mobile Center workspaces, which is a feature that Mobile Center added recently to their solution. Some of the additional updates that we did to the other protocols in the family for the Java vUser protocol, as well as the Java record and replay protocol, you can now record and replay Java 11 apps. And these are applications that have been built off of the Java 11 JDK. For all of the Java protocols, you can also now develop scripts in IntelliJ. Specifically for LoadRunner, we added support of JMeter 5.0, which also includes supporting SLAs, service level agreements for JMeter scripts within the controller. For .NET, we added 4.7 framework support. For Citrix, we added support for 7.14 and 7.15 of Citrix Zen App and Zen Desktop. For IDEs, we included support for Visual Studio 2017, as well as Eclipse 4.9, which is supported for 32 and 64-bit OSs. From the security side, we now support TLS 1.3, and we upgraded our OpenSSL to 1.1.1. Now we're going to talk a little bit about some of the capabilities that were added to LoadRunner itself. The first one, which I'm very excited about, was the integration with CA APM, formerly known as Wiley. So if you guys remember, in 1255, we introduced the first integration outside of Sitescope with Dynatrace. And so in this case, in 1262, we added the same type of integration at the APM level for CA APM. This integration right now only supports the cloud version of CA APM, and the actual integration, meaning how it works and actually how to utilize it, is very similar to how Sitescope is done, as well as Dynatrace. And for this one, we're going to have a demo that Adrian is going to show us a little bit later. Now, for the LoadRunner agent, many of you are probably familiar with having to change the load generator agent from a service to a process, and then we're back, or vice versa. For UI-based protocols like Citrix, SAP GUI, RDP, you can now run virtual users in an interactive RDP session while the agent remains as a service. Adrian's going to explain to you this whole capability and concept and why we did it very, very soon as well. And it was a really big change for us, and we hope that you guys take full advantage of this. One little reminder I'd like to highlight, and we did this in 1260, was that network virtualization has now been added to LoadRunner and Performance Center as a core feature instead of an additional license. So there were three parts to network virtualization. There was the network emulation portion, which is being able to execute a scenario with network conditions tied to that scenario or applied to that scenario, or using the global library. There's the NV Insights report, which you can get whenever you're replaying a script within VUGen, as well as post-run from a scenario. And then there was network capture, which allowed you to capture network conditions, like your corporate WAN, or even creating your own network conditions as well. So for 1260 and above, we added network emulation and NV Insights as no additional charge, and network capture is no longer going to be included within 1260. If you are using or have had used the community license or community edition of LoadRunner, the NV Insights is also included as part of the community edition of LoadRunner. I am now going to pass it over to Adrian to talk a little bit about those key capabilities that were added in 1262. Adrian?
Thank you, Cyrus. Hello, everyone. My name is Adrian David. I'm the R&D manager of LoadRunner. And today I will present you two important features delivered in LoadRunner 1262. Support of running graphical user interface users with LoadRunner agent configured as a service, and the integration with CA APM monitoring solution. Before diving into the functional aspects of the first mentioned feature, I would like to clarify the purpose of some important load generator processes. LoadRunner agent is the process responsible for starting a load test on the load generator. mAgentService.exe is the LoadRunner agent that is running in service mode. So LoadRunner agent runs as a service on the machine. mAgentProc.exe is the LoadRunner agent that is running as a process in an interactive session after user login. So this process is starting only when a user logs into the load generator machine. LRBridge.exe is the process that is started by a LoadRunner agent when controller is connecting to the load generator. MDRV.exe is the process, or in some cases, processes that are started by lrbridge.exe on the load generator machine and will contain one or more vusers depending on the runtime settings of the script. As you might know, LoadRunner had the limitation that graphical user interface protocols like SAP GUI, Citrix, RDP require that the load generator agent is configured to run as a process, which implied that the user needs to manually log in to each and every single load generator that is being used part of the test, which could take some significant time and overhead for the user. I am happy to announce that in 1262 we are overcoming this limitation and thus enabling you to run graphical user interface vusers with agent configured as a service in an interactive user session. If you will use the enable RDP feature, what will happen behind the scenes is that the LoadRunner agent service will start a self-local RDP session on the load generator and will run lrbridge.exe and mdrv.exe inside this interactive session, enabling thus to run graphical user interface users, even though the LoadRunner agent, is configured as a service. So you will not be needed to log in manually to every LG when you run Citrix load test, for example. Of course, if you do not use the new enable RDP feature, the former functionality of the agent are still available. In order to configure this new feature, one must do two simple actions. On the load generator side, in the agent runtime settings tool, the agent must be configured to allow virtual users to run on this machine without logging. So basically to run the agent as a service, and to insert a user, and this user has to have the rights to remotely connect to the load generator machine. On the controller side, inside the load generators page, in Terminal Services tab, you will see a new checkbox which is called Enable RDP. If you tick this checkbox, you will enable the new RDP feature for this particular LG. As a result, during the runtime of the test, we can see that the mdrv.exe, the process which runs the users, is now running in an interactive session. You can see there session 1 instead of the former session 0 system session previously. I hope that this feature will make your life easier when running large graphical user users tests. The second feature that I would like to present you today is the integration with CA APM solution. In this demo, I will show you how to set up the integration, how to retrieve CPU usage of a monitor server in CA APM. In the run page of the controller, you will see a new graph called CA APM. When configuring this integration, one would need to define the CA APM server URL, the agent name, which is the application or the monitor server for which I would like to retrieve the available measurements, the port, 443 in my case, as I'm using HTTPS connection, and the token. This security token is retrieved from CA Security tab. One must generate this token, but keep in mind that once you generate it, you must save it somewhere because it will not be later displayed in CA due to security constraints. Now we are ready to retrieve the measurements of this server. We can choose what counters we need from CA APM by clicking on the Add button from the Retrieve Measurement section. In our case, we are going to choose to get the CPU usage of this mentioned server. The rate of the data points received in LoadRunner is 1 every 15 seconds for each measurement, this being a limitation from the CA exposed API. We can now compare the data displayed in CA APM with the one in LoadRunner and see that they match. Of course, you can define multiple measurements and you can monitor in parallel different servers or different applications. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you will enjoy these new features delivered in 12.62 release of LoadRunner.
So thank you, Cyrus and Adrian. In previous versions, we introduced two client-coded feature that allows converting action into JavaScript code. It allows flexibility and is a natural way of editing scripts. Powered by well-documented APIs, it eases the process of editing and maintaining scripts of a large scale. In this version, coded support was extended to cover function libraries as well. This enables you to convert your two-client function to code in addition to actions for seamless experience. Now, I would like to demonstrate this functionality on two-client browser. Note that it's also available in Chromium and IE. We will be using interactive guidance that was recently introduced. Interactive guidance menu allows a quick access to additional walkthrough, a search feature, and has a test tab to track your personal progress. We will start recording a simple script that includes a navigation to the Advantage online shopping website that you are more than welcome to use for testing, and we will add a simple transaction to the business process. So let's assume I want to buy a tablet. I'm going to click on it. And let's change the color and add it to the cart. So as you can see in the development window, it now described all of my operations. Now I'm going to replay the recorded script. It's considered a good practice to replay right after the recording. First, it's allowed two-client to collect additional information on the selected objects. Also, it allows to verify that all the recorded actions are performed just as expected, and in case of issues, it will be easier to fix them right away. Now, let's create a function out of the last step recorded, assuming this operation can be used for later. To create a function out of this step, we select it, right-click, and choose Group into New Function. We will give the function a meaningful name and add it to a new library. We will name lib1. Great. So now the step is replaced with a function call. We hit the Convert to Code button in the toolbar and choose to convert the entire code. Now the entire script is converted to code, including all the actions and the function libraries. We can edit the code and use the toolbar on the top of the function step to perform various code operations. You can verify the syntax, edit the code in a bigger detached window, and more. So now let's replay the coded script and watch the magic happen. Note that in this example, we choose to convert the entire script, but the scope is up to your needs. In addition to the familiar converting single action, we can now convert a single function into code, all function in a function library, or the entire script. So in this version, we added an important mechanism of script auto-recovery to assist in case of two-client script corruption. I would like to demonstrate to you a scenario of recorded script into a client browser that got corrupted. So as you can see, a pop-up message of script failure recovery immediately emerged and notifying me that the script file failed to load properly. Now we press the restore button. To restore the script, if we press the exit button, we can still restore the script in the future. This mechanism is enabled by default. To configure it, go to the True Client General Settings. Under Interactive Options, we see the new Automatic Recovery option. Here you can choose to automatically backup your script every constant minutes interval up to your choice. Now let's run the restored script and make sure it works as expected. Note that we have two backup mechanisms, and the main difference between them is that one is generated once the script is successfully loaded in interactive mode, and the other, automatic script backup, saves a copy of the script every several minutes. You can choose to use both options, disable automatic backup, or disable the two of them, which is less recommended. So this is a short demo that will demonstrate you how easily you create TrueWeb script in Vusion and using the new parameters UI that created especially for TrueWeb. So as you can see, I will start by creating a new TrueWeb script inside Vusion. And in order to generate the new TrueWeb script, we can either use HAR file and generate from it, or use the proxy recorder, which is currently integrated into Vusion. So now we will demonstrate the second option. I will use the proxy recorder, which is now being configured, as you can see, and I will continue by recording a short flow in the Advantage online shopping site. So I click on the Start Recording. I can see the recording toolbar in the right upper corner, and in a few seconds you will see the browser loaded. I will navigate to the Advantage Online Shopping Center. And I will also use the integrated transaction that allows us to create transactions manually from Vusion. I will add a login transaction, which I will perform a login into this website. And then I will show you at the end in the script itself that will be generated. Right, so we are logged in. And now I will end this transaction and continue with some additional action in the website. I will add items to the cart, and go to the checkout, and I will stop the recording. Good. Now we can see that Vusion generated the script. I will move to the script itself, and you can see everything is in here. All the steps, all the requests. So here's the start login transaction, and also right here you can see the stop login transaction. Also, I will find the username and password which we use right here, and I will create parameters to them. So clicking the parameters in the tree will open a new parameters UI. I will add new parameter called username and point it to the file I've prepared prior with username and password. Okay, so our first parameter is pointed to the username column, and I will add also password parameter, which will point to the second column of password. You can simply select it by using the select button right here. And also I will change the option to go to the same line as the username, that they will be passed together. That's it. Now I will add it to the script so you can see that we are using the parameters. So we are using the TrueWeb API for parameters. I will create user variable, giving it the compatible parameter we define. We will use load params username and do the same for the password, load params password. And now I will add another line that will print the parameters to the log so we could find it later on in the output log and validate that it takes the correct username and password. And now I will change the username to use the variable I've created in the parameters and also for the password. Great. Now I will save the script and I will replay it so we can see the output. So the script is now replayed. And that's it, it's finished. I will go to the output pane and search for the transaction first. You can see now the login transaction started right here. And a little bit further, we can see the username and password that we use. And then we're going to search for the transaction end, which is right here. So note that there are a few additional enhancements that Cyrus mentioned before as debugging. They are available in Vusion in 12.62 version. Thank you very much for your attention. So we've had some great questions come in, so let's just jump right in. So see, good question regarding TrueClient. Can I combine coded and model actions and functions? So the answer is yes. You can have some action as coded and some as model. You can also have in a single library some functions which are coded and other which are model. And how can I know the right syntax for things? So the answer is that we have full documentation for our API. We also have autocomplete, but the simplest way to learn, I think, is to create a short action in model, doing the same thing and then convert it to coded and look at the converted code. Another question, what's the difference between TrueWeb and HTTP HTML? Why would we choose one over the other? So as both of the protocols are transport level, Web HTTP HTML is the market leader web protocol, and for many good reasons. We will keep it as the market leader for the heavy-duty test. TrueWeb providing a lightweight, scalable, and cross-platform solution and can also be used as standalone tool. From version 12.60, it's free and unlimited. So for more common use cases, we aim TrueWeb to be the default. For the use cases that you just want to get the job done. Another question, is there an option to use my JavaScript code as part of my TrueWeb script? So the answer is yes, you can use any native JavaScript library or your own JavaScript code using require in the TrueWeb script. You can work easily with JSON objects as well. And another question, what version? So before we finish, let me go over some of the programs. In these programs, you can work along with us during the different stages of the LoadRunner release lifecycle. So we have the Design Partner Program running in the early stages of development for review and feedback on the planned new features. We have the Beta Program. We run it before each release. It gives you the opportunity to be exposed to the coming release on its early stage, test it on your environment, and share your feedback. Early Adopters Program. Right after the public release, we implement the new version with numerous customers for feedback and future release requests. If you'd like to participate as one of these customers, please send us an email to plv_cost@microfocus.com and we'll get back to you. Please note that a replay of today's event plus a PDF copy of the slides and the Q&A file will be available on demand, and we invite you to share them with your colleagues. Thank you very much for attending the webinar today. We hope you have found it interesting and beneficial. Have a great day and thanks for joining.